the phrase huiou theou, Son of God, and it is in these little brackets right here, bracket there, bracket there. So since they go like this, what it's saying is what's in between those two brackets is what the variant is. And you will notice that there are single brackets around this in the printed text, which is the printed text way saying this is a disputed phrase, but we are including it rather than just excluding it and putting it in the notes. And so here is the specific information in the Nestle-Aland text, the UBS text here. And you'll notice again, the whole point of the Nestle-Aland system, and it's brilliant. I forgot to bring my text in. That also means, though, you have to sort of learn how it works. And so you'll notice that the UBS text gives you much longer Greek readings. So Christ, Son of God, Christ, Son of God, but with the article to right there. Son of God or Son of the God. Jesus Christ, Son of the Lord, which is only found in manuscript 1241. And then just Christ without the Son of God. And then all the manuscripts listed afterwards are the manuscripts that read like that. All of that is put in here by simply putting huiou theou, Son of God. Then there's the one manuscript that has Son of the Lord. And then you have Jesus Christ in Irenaeus and Epiphanius. And then just simply a little thing there. It says then text. So the text we already printed. So they're not going to waste paper doing that, repeating that. So text, and then it gives you what you have there. Oh, I forgot omit. So you have omit in some of these manuscripts as well. So Son of God is found in these manuscripts. So you look at this, you go A, K, P, delta. This is families 1 and 13, number 33, very important manuscript. 565, 570. What is any of that supposed to mean? Well, the wonderful, nice thing for you today is you just run your cursor across any single one of these in accordance, and in a window will pop up the best dating for the manuscript, where it's located, what it contains. That's always quite interesting as well. More and more of these manuscripts are coming online all the time, and eventually I think you'll be able to pop up any one of these manuscripts and look at it yourself if you want to. Verify the reading, anything else. It's just amazing. It really is. But so you can find out where these are. If they're capital letters, or if they start with a 0, they're called unsealed texts or majuscule texts. If they don't, if they start with like 333, 565, 509, these are minuscule texts. Always look for this. This is the majority text sign. Normally, that was the indication. In the UBS, by the way, they use BYZ, Byzantine, instead of the Fraktur M, the German Fraktur M for majority text sign in the Nestle-Aland text. But that's going to be your bulk of the later past 1,000, 1,100, 1,200 manuscripts. And so that's going to give you some idea. Now, sometimes that's split. Sometimes, especially when you get into the book of Revelation, you'll find all sorts of splits in the manuscripts in the Byzantine text. So you don't just, in many instances in Revelation, there is no majority text. There is no majority reading. You sort of have to play around with stuff to try to figure all that out. So anyway, so what you have then here is you can look at which manuscripts say Son of God. Well, these manuscripts say Son of God. And then here's the where it says just a dash, so deletes this. And you'll notice that you have Aleph twice. So Aleph does not have Son of God, but then it does have Son of God. What's that all about? Well, when you put the asterisk next to Aleph, that means the original hand, and then the 1 means the first corrector. Now, how do you know when that took place? You don't. There have been more studies done on Sinaiticus and its correctors than I think any other manuscript. Vaticanus would probably be next. They've identified not only styles, but ink formulations and just all sorts of things because this is a manuscript that was in use for so long. And so what you can see from that is it wasn't there originally, and then it was inserted by the first corrector. Now, was that 50 years later, 100 years later, 700 years later? We don't know, but since it clearly was produced in a scriptorium or something like that, in all probability, it would be in the first reading. So after the manuscript had first been produced, before it was released or published or sold or whatever, someone would correct it. Someone would read through it. And seemingly that was where the initial correction was made. CodexSinaiticus.org and look at it yourself and see what the correction looks like and so on and so forth. With all that in mind, the discussion has been, is Jesus called the Son of God in Mark 1:1? And you might be saying, you're boring us to tears. Do you remember the debate with Shabir Ali in 2006, Biola? I didn't cue this up, but in the cross-examination, one of the things I was pushing him on was we don't have a New Testament that looks like you as a Muslim would expect the New Testament to look like, do we? We don't have any manuscripts at all. And in the process of his response, he made reference to what? Mark 1:1. And he made reference to the NIV and to the NIV text note, which said some manuscripts do not say Son of God. So maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. The whole point was to say we don't really know. See how that works? See why this is relevant? Now, what's interesting is all of this was published and made available prior to just a few months ago when the Gospel of Mark in the new ECM, the Editio Critico Major, the largest project of collating the Greek New Testament that's ever been undertaken, Gospel of Mark was published. And what's interesting, if you want to see how in-depth that is, here is the ECM for this textual variant. This is available online, by the way. We don't just make these things pop in out of nowhere. Here is A, B, C, D, E, F, and then ZZ. Now, what in the world is that supposed to mean? The first reading is Son of God. The second is Son of God without an article. The third is Son of the Lord. We already know 1241 is the only one that does that. We saw that before. Here is the Son of God, 2 articles. Of God, no Son. Omit the phrase completely. Put that out there. And then ZZ simply means these manuscripts, and there's my little baby right there, P45. These manuscripts listed here at the bottom do not contain Mark 1:1. So they're not relevant because they don't contain that material. But the point is, you can go here to Munster's website. Here's all the manuscripts, obviously far more manuscripts collated and made available to you here. And then what you can do with CBGM is you can see the relationship between these various manuscripts and these various readings. And so up here, for example, you have the conclusion of the editorial process in regards to this is the original, and then here's reading A, and reading A gave rise to B, C, D, E, and F. And then you see some of the primary witnesses down here and how they are related to one another. Again, what we're doing here is we're using computers to track these manuscripts and how they are related to one another. And then that gives rise to this beastie, which gives you the coherence in attestations and how all these manuscripts are related to one another at this one variant. So if you went to a different variant in the next verse, this is going to look different. But here is just one variant. How the what CBGM is allowing us to do is to see how these manuscripts are related to one another, not just in one place, but across an entire book and really across the New Testament when they contain that much information. Obviously, you can't do that with many manuscripts. Most manuscripts do not contain all the New Testament. But this stuff is where no human mind could ever go. We can't keep this amount of data in mind. Maybe there's a savant someplace, making money in Las Vegas, counting cards, something, I don't know. But us normal human beings, we can't do this. This is really the result of a massive data bank, really. Because every reading, that's what it is. It's a piece of data. And for years and years and years, scholars were looking at manuscripts. I'm one of the few people in the world that has read Bart Ehrman's doctoral dissertation more than once. And he was looking at the rise of the Proto-Alexandrian text type in one particular early church father. And he was using a 75% agreement to create a textual family. That's all past now. This goes so far beyond that, because now we can really ask the question, is there such thing as a textual family, and how much agreement is there, and so on and so forth. And so this is simply the computer saying, this is how these manuscripts are related to one another, and in this particular variant, this is how they're related to one another. By the way, this is an extremely important manuscript. It's become far more important since CBGM has been 35. You can see how central it is to the transmission of the text over time. That's coherence and attestations. And here is the general text flow. I can't even get all of it on here, given how wide this is. But this is your general text flow. And it's giving you can see by the colors if we're zoomed in, you can see the colors. That's where those go back up to what I showed you up above, right there, where you're defining the variants that are available, which we... What? Yeah, well, so here are the colors as they are defined initially, and then that continues on down through it. So the point being, there is a massive, massive, massive amount of information available to us now to examine and to look at these things, even more so than we had just a brief period of time ago. And point being, everything that I have on the screen right now was published before CBGM was available. And so what have we discovered? CBGM is now, the data has been collated for Mark, and Son of God has been included in the ECM reading for Mark 1:1. So the ECM analysis, the CBGM analysis, has basically said that the manuscripts that contain Son of God are more consistent with one another than the manuscripts that do not. And so we'd had all sorts of arguments about, well, if you have a whole line of genitives, is it easier to lose something toward the end? The answer would be yes. And so people had argued on both sides. Now you have not the computer telling you how you have to decide this, but the computer telling you something that's really important, and that is the manuscripts that have one reading are more consistent with one another than manuscripts that have the other reading. And so CBGM is not the end of the discussion, but it's an important benchmark. I would say that, it puts weight on one side that now needs to be counterbalanced on the other side if you want to take a different reading, in essence. All of that to say, it does look like the best original reading, the earliest reading for Mark 1:1 is calling Jesus Son of God right at the beginning of the book. Okay?